At our daughter's school play, my wife's phone connected to my Bluetooth. Her voice message played that worthless piece of shit. It embarrassed me again. I'm done pretending. Meet me tonight. We're planning his accident. I sat through the entire play clapping and smiling. 3 days later, my WhatsApp was flooded with 47 desperate messages begging me. All right, so straight up, I don't even know how to start this without sounding like some kind of troll, but whatever. I just need to get this out of my system because my head is still spinning. And honestly, if anyone's got advice, I'll take it, or just validation that I'm not losing it. Whatever. Here goes. I'm Andres. I'm 32. Been married to Susan for 9 years. Our kid Addison is 7. And honestly, I thought we were in that kind of boring suburban rut where you just do the school drop-offs and fight over the thermostat and forget to like each other half the time. Nothing special. Nobody's cheating. Nobody's in jail. Just tired people with a mortgage and a leaky faucet that's never getting fixed. I don't even know what happy is supposed to look like anymore. But I didn't think we were falling apart. So, this is about last Thursday school play night. You know the type, right? Folding chairs, everyone crowding into the gym, all the parents with their phones out pretending to care. The kids all sweaty and nervous in their weird paper costumes. I'm there with my earbuds in because I got this thing where the noise of too many people makes me want to crawl out of my skin. Susan's next to me, but kind of not. Like, she's texting or doom scrolling or whatever. She's always on her phone these days, but then again, so am I, whatever. Here's the thing, though. My earbuds, they're supposed to only pair with my phone. I listen to podcasts or whatever while I wait for stuff. Except out of nowhere, I hear this little pop in my left ear, and the audio shifts. Not music, not the podcast I was playing, but a voice memo, a woman's voice, Susan's voice. I'm thinking, what the hell? Did she just but dial me? But it's not a call. I realize her phone must have paired to my earbuds. It's happened once before with her old phone, but we fixed that ages ago. So, I'm sitting there and I can hear every word of this memo. She's talking fast, low, pissed off. She says that worthless piece of shit embarrassed me again. I'm done pretending. Meet me tonight. We're planning his accident. Not like she's joking either. Like real venom. So, yeah, I just sat there. I mean, what else do you even do? You can't stand up and start screaming in a school gym. Not with your kid about to go on stage. I looked over at Susan and I swear she had no clue. She's just texting with her thumb. Not a care in the world. I'm clapping, smiling, taking a video of Addison singing like nothing's happening. Pretending, I guess. Like always, I keep replaying the words in my head. Planning his accident. What does that even mean? I mean, I'm not stupid, but I start thinking, is she talking about me? Is this like a joke with one of her friends? Is she blowing off steam? But the way she said it, it's not a joke. And who is she talking to? I can hear another voice in the background. Not clear enough to make out, but a woman for sure. I think it's Joan. This mom from our block. She's always around. Always has something to say about everything. Susan and her lately. They're like glued together. Not that I was tracking it before, but now it's all I can think about. So, I just sit there. Through the whole play. I must have clapped harder than anybody. I was so wound up. After there's this whole thing with the cookies and juice, you know, the PTA moms milling around. Addison running up all proud showing us her little owl mask. I give her a hug, tell her she did great. Susan's smiling, joking with Joan like nothing's wrong. My hands are shaking, but I shove them in my pockets. On the way home, Susan's driving, and it's just silent. She asks me if I want to order pizza or something. Super normal. I say, yeah, sure. Whatever you want. She doesn't look at me, just keeps scrolling her phone at the red lights. I can't even look at her. I keep thinking about that voice memo. I tell myself I'm going to bring it up, but I don't. I don't have proof, right? Just a random Bluetooth mix-up. Who's going to believe that? I don't sleep that night. I just lay there staring at the wall listening to Susan breathe, thinking, am I crazy? Am I making this bigger than it is? Did I mishear? I start Googling stuff like how to recover deleted audio from another phone. But all this tech stuff makes my brain hurt. I know if I ask her, she'll just say, I'm being paranoid. And with Susan, if you ever call her out, she goes full defense mode, shuts down, or worse, starts crying, and then I'm the bad guy. The next day, I'm at work, can't focus, just going through the motions. I text my buddy Diego, just like, hey, you ever get that thing where your wife says something and you're not sure you heard right? He just says, welcome to marriage. Useless. I think about asking my brother, but he's got enough going on with his divorce. I end up just sitting in my car at lunch, scrolling through old photos of me and Susan, trying to remember if there were signs. Okay, so Friday night, Susan says she's going to Jones to help plan some bake sale thing for school. She doesn't ask if I want to come, just tells me. I just nod. As soon as she's gone, I check her laptop, but she's got it locked down with a password. I don't know. I'm not tetchy enough to break into it, so I just give up and watch YouTube. Pathetic, I know. Saturday, nothing really happens. Addison's got a play date. I drop her off, come back, and see Susan and Joan in the kitchen whispering. They stop when I walk in. Susan says they're just talking about the school fundraiser. I just say, cool, and go watch TV. I hear them laughing in the other room, but I can't tell if it's about me or just something dumb. Sunday, we're supposed to go to Susan's parents for lunch. Her mom's always kind of cold to me, like I'm not good enough. Her dad just watches sports and grunts. The whole meal, Susan's on her phone under the table. Her mom gives me that look like I should be doing more. I excuse myself, go to the bathroom just to breathe for a sec. Susan knocks on the door, says, hurry up. We're leaving soon. I tell her to give me a minute. She walks away. By the time we get home, I'm running out of patience. I want to say something, but every time I open my mouth, I just see Addison's face from the play. I can't blow up her whole world over something I'm not even sure about. Or maybe I'm just a coward. I don't know. Monday, things get weird. Susan keeps texting all day, barely looks at me when she's home. She says she's tired, goes to bed early. I try to check her phone, but she's got it with her, even in the shower. Total lockdown. I start to feel like a stalker in my own house. Then Tuesday night, everything just explodes. I'm sitting on the couch watching some dumb show and my phone buzzes. WhatsApp, it's Susan. Then Joan, then Addison's teacher. I open it up and there's like 47 messages all at once, all caps, all begging me to talk, to call, to please answer, that it's not what I think, that I'm being crazy that I have to talk to Susan right now. Joan saying I need to be reasonable. Susan saying she can explain. Addison's teacher says she's worried about Addison and if someone could call her back. I scroll and it's just walls of text, missed calls, voicemails. I don't answer. I just sit there, phone buzzing in my hand, and I realize for the first time in my life, I'm not scared of Susan. I'm pissed like nuclear. And I'm not going to just sit here and take whatever this is. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. And if you think I'm just going to roll over and let them gaslight me, you don't know me at all. Part 2 coming if anyone even cares. But trust me, this is just the beginning. Update 1. Alright. Picking up right where I left off since apparently a bunch of people actually care. And I got like 100 DMs telling me not to back down. Some of you are honestly wild, but I appreciate it. So, here's the rest. Or at least what happened after my phone blew up with those messages. Buckle up. It gets so much dumber before it gets even remotely clear. So, after the WhatsApp tsunami, my first move is to just mute everything. I'm not about to play into whatever panic game they're running. Susan keeps spamming me. Joan is acting like she's the reasonable adult here. And then Addison's teacher is in there like she wants to host a parent intervention or some crap, which no thanks. I just sit there letting the phone vibrate itself half to death on the coffee table. I don't answer. Not one. I wait. About an hour later, front door rattles. Susan barrels in. She doesn't even say my name. Just goes straight into, you need to stop freaking out. You're making things weird for everyone. What's wrong with you? Like, I'm the one who did something insane. I just stare at her waiting. She walks over, stands right in front of me, arms crossed, phone in her hand, tapping it like she's about to dial someone. She keeps her voice steady, but it's that fake steady, like she's practicing for a TED talk about how she's the victim here. I say, "So, what was that at the play? The message." She snorts like, "You're still on that? You seriously need to get some help." And she's laughing, which just pisses me off more. I tell her, "I heard you. I heard every word." And she just rolls her eyes. Says I'm making stuff up. Says maybe I had a dream. Says maybe I'm stressed from work, I wish stress was my biggest problem. I get up, walk into the kitchen. She follows me, still going, now raising her voice, saying, I'm being paranoid. I'm embarrassing myself. I should let it go. I finally slam my hand down on the counter and say, "You know what? Let's call Joan. Let's get her over here. See what she has to say." And Susan just goes pale for a second, but then she laughs again, but it's that brittle, ugly laugh. She says, "Fine, call her." Like she's got nothing to hide, but she won't make the call. Just stands there waiting for me to do it, like she's daring me. I grab my phone, pretend to dial, and that's when she grabs my arm and kind of shoves me back a step. Not hard, but enough. I yank my arm away and tell her, "Don't ever touch me again." She slams the fridge door and storms upstairs. And that's that for the night. Not a word more. Next morning, I wake up and she's already gone, which is weird. She always lets me know if she's leaving early, or at least leaves a note for Addison. Nada. I get Addison ready, drop her off at school, and I spot Joan dropping her kid off, too. She's all smiles, pretending like nothing's wrong, but she keeps glancing over at me like she's checking if I'm going to make a scene. I don't say anything. Just get in my car and drive off. Not about to blow up at my kid's school drop-off like some reality show idiot. Rest of that day is just me spiraling. I start thinking about what I actually know, and it's not much. All I got is that memo, and now they're both acting like I'm nuts. I try to get into Susan's phone again, but not happening. She's locked it tighter than Fort Knox. I check our phone bill online, looking for numbers she's been texting or calling a lot. I notice a ton of calls to Joan's number, like way more than usual, but that's not evidence of anything except that my wife is glued to her best friend. I check the shared calendar. Not that we use it much, but sometimes stuff gets left open. And I see bake sale meetings scheduled twice last week, both with Joan's name. I think back and remember both those nights. Susan came home late and smelled like wine. I text my buddy Diego again, just like, "Dude, am I losing it?" He says, "Honestly, it's Susan. You know how she gets when she thinks you made her look bad." And that's the thing. She's always hated when I make a joke or say something dumb at a party. She'd dig her nails into my arm or give me this look like I was a toddler acting up in church. I guess I always thought that was just her thing. Now I'm thinking maybe she really does hate me, or at least hates the version of me she's built in her head. Anyway, that night Susan comes home after dinner, acts like nothing happened, sits on the couch, puts on some dumb reality show, asks if I want popcorn. I just stare at her, say nothing. After a few minutes, she sighs and says, "If you're going to be weird, maybe you should go to bed." I say, "Maybe I will." I go upstairs, not even tired, just done. I texted my mom, told her I might bring Addison by this weekend. She says, "Sure," but asks if everything's okay. I just say, "Yeah, all good." She knows me too well to believe it, but she lets it go. Friday, I try to talk to Addison's teacher at pickup just to see if she's noticed anything weird. She says, Addison seemed a little distracted, but nothing big. She asks if everything is all right at home. I say, "Yeah, just some grown-up stuff." She nods like she's heard that before. I get home. Susan's car is in the driveway, but she's not inside. I text her. She says she's at Joan's planning the next PTA fundraiser. I start wondering if I should just show up at Joan's place, see what's really going on, but I don't. I just sit in my car scrolling through old photos again, trying to figure out where things went sideways. Later that night, Susan comes home late, like past midnight. I'm awake waiting. She walks in, smells like wine, and her hair is a mess. I ask her where she's been. She says, out with Joan. And I say, doing what? She gets defensive. Says, I'm being controlling. Says, I need to get a life. I say, maybe if you weren't always lying, I wouldn't have to ask. She throws her bag at the wall. I tell her, I want the truth right now. She walks right up to me, gets in my face, says, what truth? You want me to say I'm tired of your crap? That you make me look like a fool? That every time you open your mouth, you make me want to crawl out of my skin? I just stare at her and she shoves me. I shove her back. She slaps me. I walk out and slam the door behind me. I sleep in my car that night because I can't even look at her. Next morning, I come back in. She's making pancakes for Addison like nothing happened. She says, you going to act normal or do I need to call someone? I grab some coffee. Tell her I'm taking Addison to my mom's. She says, fine, but if you make this a thing, I'll make sure everyone knows how unstable you are. I tell her, go ahead. I dare you. She laughs, but it's not funny. Addison asks if we're going to the park after Grandma's. I say, sure, why not? At my mom's, she keeps giving me these looks like she wants to ask, but doesn't want to pry. Eventually, she just says, you know, your dad and I had fights, too, but never like this. I say, it's not a fight. It's something else. She says, maybe you need to talk to someone. I say, maybe I just need to stop pretending everything's okay. Sunday, Susan texts me, says she wants to talk. I say, come to Mom's if you want to talk. She shows up, sits at the table, looks at my mom, then at me, says, I want to reset. I say, you want to reset? Give me your phone. She laughs, says, you're out of your mind. I say, then there's nothing to talk about. She gets up, slams her chair back, storms out. My mom just shakes her head, mutters something about stubborn women. Later that night, Joan texts me, says, Susan's just stressed. You're making this harder than it has to be. Maybe you should take a break. I tell her, maybe you should mind your own business. She says, I'm just trying to help. I say, help by staying away from my family. She leaves me on read. Monday, I move some money out of our joint account. Nothing illegal, just what's mine. I change the password on my main email. I turn off location sharing. I start printing out bank statements and texts just in case. I'm not messing around. Susan comes home and asks why she can't log into the bank. I say, guess it's a glitch. She slams her phone on the table, says, you're trying to ruin my life. I say, maybe you should have thought of that before you started plotting accidents. She calls me insane, storms off, slams the bedroom door. I lay down on the couch and just stare at the ceiling. I know I'm not crazy. I know what I heard. And I know she's not going to admit anything. Not ever. But I'm done being the guy who just takes it. Next step, I make sure she knows she's not the only one who can play dirty. If you want the rest, yeah, I'm not done yet. Trust me, it only gets more real from here. Update 2. So, if you read the last one, you know, there's no going back now. After Susan tried to gaslight me into thinking I made up her little plan and then tried to paint me as the crazy one, something in my brain just snapped. I know people say you should keep your cool and play chess or whatever, but honestly, who does that in real life? I'm done being the guy who just keeps the peace and then gets shit on for it. So yeah, I started plotting. Not with some evil genius master plan, just real stuff. The kind that actually screws with people in the world they care about. Money, friends, family, reputation. First thing I did was start making myself visible. Not like, oh, I'm going to post a big update about my marriage on Facebook, but just being around every school drop-off, every pickup. I made it a point to talk to the other parents. Not about the drama, just about normal stuff. I made sure to be the one who brought the snacks for Addison's soccer practice. Showed up to the PTA thing even though I hate it. People notice when you show up and they also notice when someone else starts acting weird. You know, Susan wasn't expecting that. She kept texting me asking why I was being so extra, why I was suddenly Mr. Involved. I just said, maybe I'm tired of missing stuff. And I started talking, but not in a let me tell you about my wife's betrayal way. More like, hey, did you notice how stressed Susan seems lately? Yeah, I don't know what's up, but I hope she's okay. Just planting little seeds. People gossip, but they don't want to be the bad guy. So, if you give them something to chew on, they'll talk on their own. It didn't take long for word to spread that Susan and Joan were thick as thieves, and that I was suddenly the present parent. The school moms are a whole ecosystem of low-key drama, and I just let them do their thing. Meanwhile, I started digging into our finances. I know this sounds boring, but trust me, if anybody here has been married for a while, you know how tangled everything gets. We had a couple accounts together and a couple in our own names. I moved every cent that was legally mine into my solo account. I called the bank, took my name off the joint credit card, changed the password to the streaming stuff. Not like that's revenge, just tired of getting charged for her dumb subscriptions. I checked what bills were in my name and called to make sure nothing could be changed without me. I even set up a new phone plan, just mine and Addison's numbers. Left Susan on her own. Didn't say a word about it. Just did it. Maybe the pettiest thing I did, but also the most satisfying. I cancelled the grocery delivery for the next 2 weeks. I know, revenge by starvation sounds dumb. But here's the thing. Susan hates grocery shopping more than anything on earth. She'd rather clean the whole house twice than go to the store. So, I cancelled the order and left her a note on the fridge that said, "Thought you'd like to do this one yourself for a change." Childish, maybe. Satisfying. Absolutely. Joan wasn't quiet either. She started texting me asking what my problem was, saying I was making things difficult for Susan, that Addison was going to notice the tension. I said, maybe you should butt out and focus on your own family for once. She actually showed up at our house one afternoon, knocked on the door like she owned the place, and told me I was being toxic. I told her she wasn't welcome. She tried to push past me, so I blocked her with my arm and told her to leave. She tried to get the last word in, but I slammed the door and locked it. Susan was watching from the window and later told me I was embarrassing her. I said, get used to it. The next part, this is where it gets wild. Susan's parents called me. Not Susan, her parents. Her mom says she's worried about Susan's mental health. Like, I'm the one making her anxious and unstable. I said, maybe you should ask her what she's been up to with Joan. Her dad gets on and says, you better not be dragging our family name through the mud. And I just laughed and said, you really don't know your daughter at all, do you? He hung up. Then at the next school event, this stupid spring sing-along thing, I show up with Addison and Susan is already there sitting with Joan. They both glare at me like I'm the villain. I sit on the other side of the gym and just watch. After the performance, I walk up to Susan and ask if Addison can come with me to get ice cream. Susan says, not today. We have plans. I say, cool. I'll wait. Joan tries to butt in. So I turn to her and say, nobody's talking to you. She gets mad and shoves my shoulder. I shove her back. A couple parents see it and one of them actually comes over and says, is everything all right? And I say, depends who you ask. It wasn't long before people started whispering. I didn't even have to say anything. Just let them see the mess for themselves. Susan started getting cold-shouldered by some of the other moms. Joan's husband apparently told her to knock it off and stop dragging their family into other people's business. I heard that from a neighbor, not even sure if it's true, but it sounded about right. Back at home, things just got more tense. Susan accused me of trying to ruin her life, which I found hilarious considering she was the one talking about my accident in the first place. She tried to change the Wi-Fi password and lock me out, but I just reset the whole thing and set a new one. She screamed at me, slapped my arm, called me a control freak. I said, maybe you shouldn't mess with someone who's got nothing left to lose. She stormed out, slammed the door so hard the frame shook. Addison started asking more questions like why mommy and daddy don't eat dinner together anymore. Why mommy cries in the bathroom. Why daddy sleeps on the couch. I try to keep it together for her, but I'm not going to lie to my own kid. I tell her sometimes grown-ups have problems, but it's not her fault. She nods like she gets it, but she's 7, so who knows? Then the real kicker, I got a message from one of the other dads at school, Ruben, who just says, "Hey, if you ever need to talk, I've been there, man." I say, "Thanks, but I'm good. I don't need sympathy. I need results." So, here's the thing. I'm not saying I'm a hero or that I handled everything perfectly, but I made damn sure Susan and Joan felt the pressure. I didn't just walk away. I fought back on every front I could without breaking the law or dragging Addison into it. I told Susan straight out, "If you keep pushing, I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what you said that night." She tried to laugh it off, but she knows I'm not bluffing. And somehow, after all this, I feel like I'm finally in control. Not happy, not free, just not their doormat anymore. I'm not done. If you care, the last part's coming. It gets even messier. Final update. So, it's wild how stuff just shifts. And sometimes it's not even one big thing. It's a bunch of little cracks that just spread out until the whole floor gives way. That's what this last stretch felt like. It wasn't like I suddenly won or whatever. It was more like I just stopped letting anyone else set the rules for me. If you've been following, you know I was done playing nice. What's funny is the first clue something changed wasn't even from Susan or Joan. It was from Addison's friend's mom, Katie. I barely know her. She mostly posts Minion memes and neighborhood lost cat alerts. But she sends me this really awkward message. Says she hasn't seen Susan at drop-off and is everything okay. I say, "Yeah, just busy. You know how it is." She sends a thumbs up and then like 5 minutes later, another message. "Just people are talking." That's it. People are talking. Not about what, not about who, but I know. It's like the whole school parent group shifted one seat over and now I'm the one they look at with pity when I show up with Addison's hair crooked and her lunchbox full of leftover pizza. Whatever. Let them talk. Susan, meanwhile, was getting quieter at home, but louder with everyone else. She'd slam doors, stomp around, and when she did talk, it was all sharp little digs about how I was ruining things or making her look bad on purpose. She tried to take back the groceries. Like she actually went out and bought all this fancy stuff she never cooks with just a post on Instagram. Addison asks if we're having a party. Susan says, "Sometimes you have to remind people what they're missing." I just stared at her like, who's missing this for real? Then one night I get a call from Susan's mom. Her voice is all tight, like she's been crying or yelling. I can't even tell. She says, "I don't know what's going on, but this can't keep happening in front of Addison." I tell her, "Talk to your daughter." She gets mad. Says, "I always blame Susan. Nothing's ever my fault." And I just hang up, not dealing with that. I call my own mom and tell her, "If you want to see Addison this weekend, come get her. I'm done driving." She says, "Okay." And asks if I need anything, like a casserole or something. I almost laugh. I tell her, "Bring root beer for Addison. That's all." I started making it clear to Susan that I wasn't just going to move on or get over it. Every time she tried to lock me out of something, Wi-Fi, bank account, whatever, I'd just change the locks, change the passwords, change the damn locks again if I had to. She'd scream, slap my arm, throw her phone at the wall. I'd just clean up and move on. No yelling matches, just actions. I guess that drove her even more nuts because now she couldn't get a reaction out of me. She called me a robot. Said I was heartless. I said, "Maybe you should stop trying to break things you don't even want." Joan started reaching out less, probably because her own husband was now giving her the cold shoulder. I saw him at the school pickup and he just nodded at me. Not like we're friends, but more like he gets it now. Rumor has it he found some messages on her phone, but who knows? People fill in the blanks with whatever makes sense to them. One time I saw Joan at the store. She tried to corner me by the freezer section, told me to be a man and let it go. I just stared at her until she walked away. I'm not playing that game. The real hit, though, was social. Susan always cared about appearances more than anything else. And now the group chats got quiet on her. The invites slowed down. She'd come home and say, "Guess we didn't get invited to the Wilsons' barbecue this year." I just shrugged. Addison still got invited to birthday parties, which is all I cared about. Susan blamed me, but I think people just got tired of the drama. Financially, I kept the heat up. I made sure the bills were paid, but only the ones that mattered. Mortgage, kids' stuff, utilities. Anything extra, I cut off. I cancelled her flower delivery. She loved getting those stupid bouquets every other week. Acted like it was a treat from someone special. Well, not anymore. She tried to sign up for some new delivery and I just blocked the card. She screamed at me, tried to slap me. I backed up and told her if she touched me again, I'd call her parents. She stormed off, slammed the bedroom door. Classic Susan. Even her own parents started asking questions like, "Why aren't you two going to counseling? Why can't you just get over it? Why can't you be normal?" I told them, maybe if your daughter was honest for once, we could talk about normal. Her dad tried to pull the tough guy thing. Said if I embarrassed the family again, he'd come over and sort it out. I said, "You're welcome to try. Just text me first so I can put the dog away." He didn't text. So, yeah, we ended up basically living like roommates who hate each other. I slept on the couch. She took the bed. Addison bounced between us, picking up on way more than we thought. I tried to keep things light for her. Movie night, extra time at Grandma's, letting her make pancakes for dinner. Susan would roll her eyes, say I was spoiling her. I'd say, at least I'm not plotting accidents. Divorce didn't come overnight, but it's coming. I've got everything documented. Texts, call logs, bank stuff, not hiding anything, not making up stories, just facts. I told Susan, we can do this the easy way or the hard way, but either way, you don't get to win this. She said, "You always have to ruin everything, don't you?" I said, "Not anymore." Joan basically vanished from our day-to-day. Her kids stopped hanging out with Addison, which sucked, but whatever. Kids make new friends. Susan's circle shrank down to like 2 people, neither of whom seemed to actually like her much. I heard from a neighbor that Joan's husband made her sleep on the couch for a week. Again, who knows if that's true? People talk. One last thing, and it's not a big dramatic ending, just real life. Addison asked me if we're still a family. I told her, we're always a family, just a different shape now. Susan rolled her eyes, but didn't say anything. I made her pancakes, and we watched some dumb cartoon together while Susan sulked upstairs. So, that's it. No big redemption. No, I learned to forgive. None of that. Just pushing back, holding my ground, making sure Susan and Joan both felt every ounce of what they tried to do to me. I'm still pissed. I don't have some neat bow to tie this up with, but I'm not the doormat anymore. And honestly, that's enough for now. If anything else happens, I'll update. But for now, I'm getting my life back.